Du kan försöka tränga förbi här så. Ja.
Now, of course, every prominent tank building country had a vehicle that everybody knew. I mean, for Tiger, for Germany, everybody thinks, of course, of the Tiger. For the UK, perhaps of the Matilda or the Churchill. Mr. Kisney, for the USSR, you would associate which vehicle? That's very unusual. IS-4, okay, perhaps not everybody's first choice of vehicle. There you go. Now, of course, this is the signature tank for Sweden. Incredibly unusual and a very contemporary design, and one of the reasons why we all absolutely love the S-Tank. As I said, this is the C variant. Were numerous variants on there. We of course have the 0 series and then the 103B and C. One of the things that straight away you'll notice about this vehicle is the incredibly low silhouette. Later on, when Stefan puts it behind this sort of tiny hill to our front, you'll see where it really came into its own from its defensive capabilities and the spec of it. The hydro-pneumatic suspension you saw there raising it at the front is the way they lay it. And of course, again, a very contemporary design here, a turretless tank, which for me was something that took a long time for me to get my head around, the fact that it had no turrets on there. So for laying of the main armament was done by elevating and depressing, as you can see at the moment, and also slewing it left and right. Now, of course, the appearance of the Stridsvagn 103 wasn't accidental. Prior to this, they had the Centurion, the Swedish Army. The Centurion itself, a good vehicle, however, perhaps not well suited or best suited to the particular environment it's expected to serve in. Very distinctive sound there of the gas turbine engine. Now, the 103 was not only the first mass-produced turretless tank, but also the first tank to be equipped with the gas turbine power plant. So 2 engines on there. This particular one, the C variant, had the Detroit engine and also the gas turbine. As I said, a very distinctive whir. You can hear the gas turbine kicking into life. Maximum speed of around 60 kilometers per hour, but that of course is not only forwards but also backwards. There we go, we're talking about the actual height of this particular vehicle. You see when Stefan's creeping up to the tiny mount to our front. With the hydro-pneumatic suspension, if you were to raise or lower it, you would see how low it goes down there. Now for a former tanker, it must be an incredibly hard target to actually hit because there is nothing to hit once it's hit. The crew for the 103, again, extremely unusual. So a crew of 3, however, there was the ability on there to actually use it fully with 1 crew member. I was very fortunate about a month ago. Stefan very kindly let me drive the S-Tank, and I have to say for me it was quite an experience. Firstly because being used to driving tanks where you have the ability to be fully opened up with your head outside, you can't do that on the S-Tank because the driver is actually located down and forwards behind the compartment. Also, of course, I'm a man who's used to steering tillers, so that's 2 levers either side of the tank. This has like something resembles an Xbox type controller, which is very unusual. When we talk about the general layout of the 103, again, it's an unusual layout. The power plant's located at the front. We've got the fighting compartment at the centre, and all the ammunition is stowed at the rear. And of course what catches the eye immediately is not only the fact that it's got no turret, but also that very distinctive wedge-shaped hull. As far as armour is concerned, although the 103 really lost to all the post-war tanks of its class in armour, with about 60mm on the front, the upper glacis plate, you can see the level of that gave a really high level of protection. You also see on some, this particular one hasn't gone in, but there's a grid-like system that's fitted to the front with a high-explosive anti-tank, so to pre-detonate the anti-tank missile before they hit the front, so it's not fitted to the front. You'll also see the dozer blade, all the 103s are fitted with a dozer blade. This really goes back to the reason why it was a defensive tank, so it could dig its own positions. As you can see, with all the rain that we had yesterday, it's actually a bit slower than it was earlier on. Just purely due to the amount of mud that's picking up on the way at the moment. However, I've been talking to Stefan about this. This particular ground, although it looks good tanking ground, if you'd taken something like a Challenger 2 on here, done some of the moves that he's doing, you'd have pulled a track by this stage. So it's incredibly well put together and well designed. The gun you can see is the Bofors L76. It's a 105mm gun, so a very, very good gun. You can see because of the way it's mounted in the hull as well, the gun overhang is extremely low. The tank inherited also the autoloader from the KRV. As I said before, the ammunition was stowed towards the rear, and it was stowed in 3 magazines with 50 shells in total. The rate of fire for this was the incredible 15 rounds per minute.
Så den står på pipen i kameran. Den står på pipen i kameran.
Oh, okej. Ja. Jag tog beauty shots nerifrån bara.
Ah.
Fick du en bild på den när jag fångade kameran?
Jag håller på att filma. Ska jag lägga upp.
I'll have to cheer if he gets stoned up. Just been asked by the staff here if anybody would like to volunteer to clean this afterwards. They'd much appreciate it.
Varför kommer nära?
Vad säger du där?
you go, ladies and gentlemen, the Stridsvagn 103, we love it. It was way ahead of its time when it was built, very unconventional and a really, really good vehicle. So, big round of applause please for